Russia has again reduced the amount of gas being delivered to Germany and other Central European countries via the Baltic pipeline Nord Stream 1. A German gas grid operator said the flow was now about a fifth of the pipeline's capacity. Russia's energy giant Gazprom said another turbine needed maintenance, but industry sources said that was just a pretext.
To what's happening in Ukraine, because Ukrainian rocket strikes have forced Russia to close a key bridge connecting the occupied city of Kherson to the east bank of the Dnipro river in southern Ukraine. The Antonovsky bridge was hit overnight for the third time in a week. Bridge is a crucial supply route for Russian forces occupying the city. Western military sources say that a Ukrainian counteroffensive in the Kherson region is now gathering pace. Let's speak to Dr. Patrick Berry, defence and security expert at the University of Bath and former NATO analyst. The HICOMs were seen as a game changer. Is that what we're seeing now, do you think?
Good evening, Tim. Yeah, the HIMARS, is this what you're talking about?
Just in terms of the ability to strike further and with more accuracy.
Absolutely, yeah. I think what we've seen initially, actually, in the Donbass over the last few weeks was the HIMARS coming on stream and having a lot of effect at destroying Russian ammunition dumps and command and control nodes. But these ammunition dumps, and once they're destroyed, we started to see a heavy drop off in the amount of Russian artillery bombardments. So that sort of calmed things down on the Donbass front. And at the same time, then we've seen them being used in what is probably the more strategically important area in the south, which is around Kherson, where the ports and also the power stations for Ukraine are. So, and they've been slowly, the Russians there are actually pretty stretched, you know, the front is only about 100 miles deep in places. And so what the Ukrainians have been doing quite cleverly is trying to isolate them and sort of prepare the battlefield, what they call shaping operations, by cutting them off, making it much harder for them to logistically resupply, and making them worry about where is the attack going to come if indeed it does. So I think this is how we've seen these rocket systems which are making their way, and artillery systems making their way in from the west. And Zelensky said today, you know, they're starting to tip the balance in Ukraine's favor. So we'll see what happens over the coming weeks.
Do you think that's true? Because supply lines for the Russians cut, but of course the Ukrainian troops really under significant pressure as well in terms of even troop rotations. I mean, they're not actually able to get that many people through, are they?
Absolutely, but what the dropping off of the Russian artillery barrages because of the lack of ammunition means that the Ukrainian rate of loss is dropping too. So at the height of the Donbass operation, it was about 100 to 200 a day. Now it's dropped to about 30, according to Zelensky. So once you're able to push the Russians back and it's harder for them to bring up their heavy guns, then you actually get some breathing space and start to take less losses, less troops in combat, and probably easier to rotate them. So this is what you would hope to see anyway, becomes easier to rotate. But yeah, there's a big question mark here about, and you know, we've talked about it before, about how much power Russia actually has. You know, they've taken heavy losses. We're thinking, you know, 15,000 dead, maybe 3 to 4 times that wounded, out of a force of about 200,000 at the start anyway, at least. According to some estimates, they've committed 85% of their whole army at this stage. So it's really a question of, it's difficult to ascertain exactly. And of course, for Ukraine, how much combat power they actually have left, what's their ability to counter attack is you know, a matter of high operational security. So I think what we will see is in the coming weeks, and this is how we will understand the course of the war, if Ukraine is able to launch a major counterattack or to force a Russian retreat by other means, then I think that bodes very well indeed for the future of the war from a Ukrainian perspective, because then, you know, given in months and potentially, you know, over 12 months, they'll be able to shift on from the south and then move on to Donbass.
Well, just on that point in the south, I mean, are we looking at the right area at the moment? Because there's been a big Russian troop build-up in Crimea, hasn't there?
Yeah, there has been, and I know they are also trying to reinforce the Kherson Oblast as well. So there's a bit of what they call sort of the battle of reinforcement going on. Who can resupply and get their kit and men in there quick enough? And also, once it switches to the offensive. Suddenly the advantages that Ukrainian forces had in defending, that sort of, able to choose the terrain, often in cities, and also make the attackers need much more men and equipment to attack. It's more intensive. That suddenly flips, and Ukraine needs that. And a final point I'd say about the south is, are the Russians just going to leave these power plants for the Ukrainians to seize? Are they going to leave the ports for them to seize? It's probably highly unlikely. I think that from a grain perspective, from Ukraine's sort of power supply perspective, that they'd probably be destroyed, and then you'd have to get the engineers in there to get things going again as quick as possible.